Well, good morning, everyone. It's Monday at 11. It's a special Monday. It's St. Patty's Day, St. Patrick's Day. Aloha, everyone. It's 2025, March 17th, and I don't normally come in looking like this. I just had a surgery on Friday where they took a piece of me, and they're going to check to see if they got all of it, and then they're going to put skin back on. So here I am for the moment, wearing my hat. Next week they do the facelift part. So this week I'm more like Harrison Ford. Next week it'll be more like Sean Connery in James Bond. That's what I've been telling people. And I think that's about what's going on. They're making a change and making me whole. One thing I must say, I have a guest who's going to show up in a few minutes. Anything said on this show is not the responsibility of the management. Any opinions that you hear here are those of the guests. That's me and my guest. My guest is my co-host that you've seen, Scott Bushnell. He's coming, and we're now, March 17th. That's just about 2 months into the presidency of Donald J. Trump. And enough has happened where Scott and I can talk and really come from different perspectives. I'm no giant fan of Kamala Harris, but I am not a fan of Donald Trump. And I actually going to have interesting conversation because a lot of things Trump is doing, I think, are really good things. But the approach is more like, that one about a bull in a china shop? I think that's what's happening right now. We're seeing someone taking a huge knife and cutting imprecisely. It's like trying to have surgery with a kitchen knife rather than a surgical knife. I think that's what we see. We all know that the government is over-bloated and it needs to be thinned out, and there's lots of garbaggio going on, we believe. So that's what we're going to be talking about, I bet, today. And in general, about how things are going. I personally am feeling great. I've had just an amazing experience that's happening. I laughed and called it dementia, but I'm happy most of the time now. I'm watching all the stuff that's going on, but I've learned that being happy in the moment is really where it's at. Things from the past that you can regret and feel all broken up about prove no value. And the future we're shaping now. So right now is a really important and good time. So good attitude plus being present, I think, can create a lot of good things. Doesn't matter who's president. Doesn't matter what kind of bundles they're doing. And look here.
Hey.
There is Coach Scott. Aloha, Scott Bushnell. Welcome to the show. You can wear those if you want, but you don't really need them. Oh, you can't.
Yeah, we're good. Is that me?
I think that's you.
I want to be able to hear you too.
You can hear me? Oh, yeah. Well, I think I'm here.
No.
This is my volume. You got yours?
Yeah, this is for my ears. I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Let me turn my phone off.
Welcome. Oh, you can keep it on.
No, goodness.
If we get a call from Donald Trump, I'm taking it.
Yeah, you're silly, Jason.
You think he's calling back?
Maybe.
I had someone that said to me just this morning, Jason, someone found me on the net, and it was from years ago, and I was so great on your show. Why don't we do another one? And I said, why don't you take the one we did and show it to more people, get it seen?
There you go.
We've been talking, you've been talking, I've been talking now for years.
Been good.
But it's like, who's watching these shows? We're public access TV, and we don't get the kind of viewership we'd like. And other than that,
and it's across the country. It's not just us, Jason. It's not just here. It's across the country.
What is across the country?
The NPR public television
doesn't get much.
No, it's dropped across the country. We're just part of that change.
Well, thank God we're on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
How you been? You looking good? How you feeling? Feeling all right?
Little coronary event the other day, but other than that, I'm doing good. Yeah.
As you can see, I'm in the middle of an experience. They took
You
better than the size of a quarter.
No.
And I have one spot, but then they do 1 centimeter around it. So it's like a
okay?
thing like that.
And
when
that's
you
your
see
story. It's not the bat in the getting in trouble
actually,
at home.
It looks like I'm a coin bank. Where you put
Nice.
the coin in, then you pull. I was worried that they're going to create a new $250 Trump coin, and they're measuring.
Oh,
me.
perfect! You'd look good on that. Yeah.
I thought piece of gold or silver. I think gold.
Oh, you get that whole cyborg look. Yeah.
Right? Don't you think?
Yeah, get one of those little lasers. That
Someone
just
said
goes
I
back
should
and
create
forth.
this and make it a Marty Feldman eye
Perfect.
that can look. What eye? What hump?
Exactly. What hope?
Well, for you youngsters, watch Young Frankenstein. You'll know who Marty Feldman is.
Great
He's the guy with
actor.
the hump that keeps moving around.
Or watch Laugh-In. He was off.
He was on Laughing too.
Yeah, he was good.
Speaking of laughing, how you been doing these last few months?
It's been really fun. I've just loved the whole political climate. Has been so exciting and so
It's
positive.
exciting. Oh,
Yeah.
positive is interesting.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I already told them, you guys, so you'll hear it again. Anything you hear is his opinion or my opinion. The station,
Not the
they
stations.
don't know.
No, goodness sakes.
It's
no.
us.
It's us.
But what's really great here is you called it counterpoint. I think of it as two guys that really like each other, that have
Yeah.
different perspectives on the
Yeah.
same thing, and we both want the same thing, a wonderful outcome for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You want me to just pick up things and throw them in the air and let us? Well,
Well,
the one that gets me-
I'm a big Bobby Kennedy. You know, I was working
yeah,
on
yeah.
Bobby's thing.
So
I
that's
am.
positive to me.
We're going to get all these chemicals that are put in our cereals and these hexene preservatives and all this stuff that's been shoved in our food. There's 5,000 substances now that are illegal in other countries that
Yeah,
we
right.
put in our food.
I know. I think that is the greatest thing that Kennedy's there. I don't know
Oh,
what
yeah.
kind of progress we'll see.
He's making huge progress. Incredible progress.
Well, how many people that are getting food stamps are going to say, oh, no, I can't buy my Cracker Jacks and my Garbaggio.
They are years from that point.
Their point, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you see that he's already doing?
I just see the reevaluation of the Food and Drug Administration, where what chemicals, what composes food, label
Already?
correct. Oh yeah, they're revisiting all those things. This has been the greatest purge of bad. And I don't think the Food and Drug Administration ever wanted to do anything bad. I mean, as far as the food pyramid's been upside down, and they've admitted to that now. That's actually, okay, this is real science. Okay, we're animals. We need to eat a food chain backwards, because, just my great grandparents were in the Civil War. If you think about that, you go like, okay.
Really?
My grandparents were born in the 1800s. Yeah.
And
So
mine in the late
just a
1800s,
few generations away from a time when there were no fat people except for in super big cities. Why is there no diabetes? Why is there no all these autoimmune diseases in Africa? Whoa, hey, let's wake up and go, wait a minute, we can't study diabetes in Africa.
Well, we knew this 50 years ago. I mean, that's what
we
kinda
did.
bothers
We
me.
did, Jason. God bless America.
Well,
Why?
that's only one of many things. How many years have we known this wasn't good and it's happening? This wasn't good and it's happening. The chemicals going into the food for
Yeah.
preservatives and color and to make you want to eat more. of them,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
The whole. You know what alcohol does. If you're an alcoholic or you have predisposition with your digestion of fermented sugars, alcohol, and they use that as preservatives. And that also creates those cravings. When you see a commercial and you see certain things and you go, oh, God, I got to have that. Bobby's taking it on. It's
Well, I
so.
think it's great. Like I said, I want to see how it plays
Yeah.
out. I know the question that a lot of people have said is, there'll become vaccine hesitancy.
No.
Well, I think of that more. I mean, again, I'm more open to the fact that people will think before they just go along with things without looking more closely.
I would hope so. All those conspiracy things. And I'm still getting blocked on the internet. So
You are.
it's not even about vaccines. I have one post that I keep reposting and it keeps getting taken down.
Really?
And all that post says is, if you read anything or watch anything that's considered news and you have an emotional response to it, it's designed that way. It's designed that way. If there's no science and they're just creating an emotional response, then they're creating something that may not be based in science or based in fact.
Aren't we in an amazing world of so much?
We're becoming in enlightened times.
But
Incredibly.
it's difficult. You just put it out there. It's really difficult to know what is true and what is not true.
Yeah.
I mean, you see videos and you're like,
well, don't
sure,
watch
it
it. If
looks
you just look
Trump
at the numbers.
in the office there with J.D. Vance and Zelensky, but now they have them playing cards, and you see all these videos that get just so out of
and they're designed to create an emotional response.
Oh yeah,
they have their agenda. There is an agenda out there on some people's or on some organizational parts.
You really think it's organizational?
Well, Jason, there's 6 companies that own all media, all television, all
deals.
printed newspapers, all magazines are owned by 6 billionaires.
Now, when you hear that, do you say to yourself, wait, how's that going to play in a time when...
It's been playing for the last 100 years.
Well, again,
Since
how is that going to play now?
Since the Hearst family. Back then, the Hearst used to control who gets elected from the California. The Hearst family that owned all the newspapers across the country. This has been
Hearst Castle.
Oh, it's really way cool. I want to swim in that pool.
I want to swim. I want to eat in the dining room. The pool. I love the
pool
outdoor
is
pool.
beautiful. Oh, looking out over the ocean. Pop.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been in play, but now the light is being shown on this. So, and you can see where printed newspapers are just they're not even selling anymore. Even their online following is just plummeted because the agenda is becoming more obvious, and it's becoming more obvious. The same reason that same post keeps getting taken down. That if you watch something and you have an emotional response, it creates a feeling. It doesn't create science. It doesn't create fact. It just creates an emotion to go one way or the other. And in behavioral science, if you can change your emotion, you can change your opinion. If you can change your emotion, you can change your opinion. They quit working with facts, and they just been dead focused on emotion. There doesn't have to be any facts involved with anything that you read as far as news.
And delivery of that information is going from those big 6 into this social media. I don't want to use the word plague. That's not fair. But we're barraged so heavily with so much stuff.
I'm not.
Without something up in the corner that says, yeah, we think this is, if they're pulling you down, and we now have pulled down the fact check thing from Zuckerberg, who's limiting you?
Well, Jason, okay, so the fact checkers were paid by those 6 big companies, so bam, they needed to go. You know what? You need to be the fact checker, Jason. You need to care enough to spend the time if you're concerned and something creates an emotional response. But I've done an experiment this last few months. I have a burner phone. This isn't my burner phone. Burner phones are for drug dealers. I have a phone that was wiped.
What a burner means, you buy it and you prepay it, so you just when you're done, you just
throw it away.
In the air.
So I have this old iPhone that's just been completely erased, and I started just searching. It's not even connected to. You can do the internet with a dead phone or a phone that's not. Getting phones.
If you have Wi-Fi, you can be on it.
Yeah, you can be on it. Yeah. So I started just researching. I started looking from one direction, from one opinion. And then it became that I could not find anything else. So this one phone, when I put in dollars spent in some federal program that's some topical thing on the news, I get this completely different emotional package of things to look up. But when I do the other phone, I get a completely different set. So we know that, the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry, I mean, just watch any of the commercials on television. I mean, for whatever drug that comes out, you see some guy my age and he's out running and having fun and playing with their grandkids and no arthritis, no nothing.
And now the ending. Don't take this if you're allergic to this, if you had dysphagia, if you have any of these conditions. Ariel was given something for a situation. And I swear, like when you read the side effects, the common side effects, your question is, why would I take something that creates commonly these side effects when they're worse than the original condition?
Case in point. The first probably 70% of those commercials create an emotional response. You can see it, you can watch it. And you watch these pharmaceutical commercials, here is maybe 80% feel good, run with the dog, play with the grandkids. So you having this, I want that emotion. I want that drug. And while that emotion's playing, that last few minutes at the end, and that doesn't click. And this is what they're doing. They've been doing this with the news for decades. It's not new. But people are wising up to it. But I keep getting blocked for that.
But telling them that?
I'm just saying, if you have an emotional response to something you're watching, that's great. But if they're trying to sell you something or they're trying to create an opinion or an emotional response to a person or an event, and you just go with that 80% emotion, you're not listening to that last disclaimer, and can cause, feet to fall off. Who knows, And
meanwhile, those of us that are aware of this sit there and wait for the shoe to drop as we see that commercial go by. And how do we hit the skip button?
Yeah, if you just listen to that last little bit, would you ever take those drugs?
Never.
No freaking way would you ever take those drugs.
Here comes Kennedy. He's not going to change that.
Yeah, he is.
He's going to what?
Oh, absolutely.
I'd be interested to see how that would change.
He's never backed down to a fight with the pharmaceutical industry.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's why he's my hero in that respect. Yeah.
Let's leave him in his little tower of health, and let's stray out into the. I hope you don't mind me saying this. You might.
I don't mind, Jason.
Into the world of Donald Trump's picks.
Okay. Telsey's amazing.
Well, I'm leaving her out of it.
We'll leave Telsey out.
I don't even know what the director of intelligence does. I don't know how you can direct intelligence. We'll leave it there.
Okay.
But I wonder, the way this is being approached on a global stage.
Is it the way, or is that your impression of the way?
Well, here's one. DEI. Now,
yeah.
I happen to know that LGBTQ, I don't know where it's going.
Wherever it's going. It's been hijacked.
But this is people that are expressing that they're unhappy enough to want to get praise and be identified and understood. If you were black, or I don't know what was under DEI, but I know that there are a lot of groups that would like to feel like,
and they should, and they
matter.
Can. Yeah,
Black lives matter, white lives matter, gay lives matter,
and it's not the government's business.
No, but I mean, here we are. And the programs are ongoing. Wouldn't you think they would help all of us clarify the real truth that all of us need to be respected?
I think that's addressed in the Constitution. All men are created equal.
No, but
Leave it at that, Jason.
You talk about the news and media and stuff. I get when someone
You've
says,
been emotionally triggered.
We're going to kick these people out and we're going to send this guy, Grandpa, to Venezuela. He's never been there in 60 years. I'm going to drop him off there. And
okay, now did when you watched that, was that an emotional response?
No. The reason I'm bringing it up, I'm talking about the facts.
Okay.
Remember, you know,
As you see them. Okay.
I love when you do that. You're like, you're such a tricky guy. Yeah, it is as I see.
As you see them. Good.
But, I mean, the fact is, here's Grandpa. And now, again, you think that they put him there and said, okay, we're going to give you a place to live. We're putting you to a new country. We just ripped you away from your family. And, but then I always look at, aren't we, you care about everyone. I care about
I
everyone.
do too. Absolutely.
Why are we putting up these walls?
Because we have people invading our country. We have.
No.
I mean, if I have
That's
friends.
another
I have.
story.
I have friends in Colorado Springs.
That is not
oh my
DEI.
goodness.
I'm wondering about if everyone's important, everyone's important. Isn't that?
I believe our citizens come first.
Of course, that's
Our
fine.
veterans come first.
I appreciate that.
Okay. How many people, Jason, this is a question that I think is so relevant today when we look at all of this. The one thing you need to ask when you look at any of these government agencies are, how many people does it take to screw in a light bulb? How many people does it take to screw in a light bulb? If you have an agency that has this outcome.
I don't like the big hatchet approach when someone who understands implications of this department better than an individual who absolutely, we see he knows how to cut and create the right numbers, but is that agency going to be left effective? And
is that
really
agency
wonder.
necessary? Is it
Well,
redundancy? Is it a
that
redundant?
should not be done is all I'm saying.
It needs
discussion needs to be more transparent.
I think it's extremely transparent, but we're not.
So.
I'm seeing it. It's
See
very
that's
transparent.
not the nation talking. That's Scott and
That's
me.
me. Yeah.
What's so transparent about Elon Musk being thrilled?
Here we go. Oh, I thought we had a call.
Oh, we did. This
Okay.
is people that call me during my show that are my friends. I read them the riot act.
Okay. Let's talk about Social Security. Let's go with Social Security.
Why?
Because this relates to both you and I very deeply because we're both on Social Security.
I haven't seen any change yet.
No.
In my personal experience
let's bet.
I am seeing others, and I ask someone, what makes you different? Why did you get singled out?
If you make over 150,000, are you making over 150,000 a year?
Let me look. No.
Okay. Then we're good. Okay. So let's look at the Jason.
Because the media is trying to scare you and upset you.
No,
people are now out there going, they're going to take my Social Security.
No,
Sorry,
that's
Grandma,
not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. But what can happen, and this is so important that everybody keeps looking over, there is a formula for the amount of people on Social Security. This formula calculates our monthly check. It's not generated off how much we really put in. It's generated upon how many people were in the pot. There's a lot of people who aren't in the pot, Jason, who have been getting paid. So if that number is reduced by even 10 or 15% of people that don't exist or never existed or never paid into the system.
Let's clean it up.
Clean that up. And guess what happens when that matrix changes? Then the people that are in the Social Security system are getting checks, are legally getting checks, aren't somebody's dog getting a check for who knows whatever.
Of course, everyone agrees.
So
with
then,
that
so
stuff.
if that were the fact, and we each got 20% more every month because we cleaned that up.
Well, I don't believe
well,
that.
That's the
piece.
math. That's the math.
Well, when you say 20% more every month, you and I both go back to the calculator and say, "Wait a minute." This was mirrors already. Where are we going to give?
No.
We're going to give 20% more of something that we don't have.
We have. This is dedicated. Social Security it's not going anywhere. The question is, in that matrix, here is the pot of money. Here's a whole bunch of people who created accounts where they are getting maximum Social Security that never existed.
Well, good. Well, now we'll get them out of the system. Great.
Get them out of the system. So now the amount, if I have 6 pieces of pie, and 2 of the pieces of pie were going to somebody that weren't supposed to be getting the pie, now we're all going to get, more pie.
No, I don't think so.
Yes.
We're going to say, instead of 2035 is the end, now the end is 2040. And with the cost of everything going up, it is, I think, virtually impossible to get this to be fair and reasonable. And I don't really know what to do about it except deal with it.
Okay,
pulling the cork
it's the same
it.
matrix, Jason. It's the same math. Okay, so if we reduce the amount, if we took out the Department of Education and sent that money directly to the schools, when schools get money from the government,
who's going to send it? Who's from where?
From where we have the department of that disperses money. It's been doing for years. It comes directly from the Senate and the House. That's where the purse strings are.
So you believe that if the money came from federal for education and there's no Department of Education, the money would come from federal directly
The Department
into
of
the
Education
schools.
would get like this.
Okay, so in the meantime, I'm using Hawaii as a great example because maybe you've heard that they say that we're going to lose so many
administrators. We're going to lose so many administrators. My God, have they ever set foot in the classroom?
Again, I would like to see the closer look before
We've been doing that closer look for the last 35 years, and no one's ever done anything about it. Yeah. Because
again,
every dollar,
it's good that they're doing the
every dollar that comes from the federal government, it demands a new administrator. Those dollars come with administrators, not teachers. And I've been talking about this forever.
Well, you've been talking about when you have your groups that are reports you write, and they go to someone who then writes a bigger, more broader.
Yeah, and it's been that way forever.
But now, can't that be streamlined just by a computer taking what you had and not having to rewrite? AI is here, so that's happening.
AI is wonderful. Let's look back at when I first started in the justice and the correction system back in the 90s. My boss signed my check, and that's all it took. Yeah. And they got their money from the legislature that went to the department of one of those departments in the state who disperse funds to each agency.
We both
the Senate.
agree that the government has gotten more and more bloated and bloated and bloated and bloated and bloated. And if we got rid of that, there would be less bloat.
And more money to the people who are actually screwing in the light bulb.
That's what I wonder.
And that's the people screwing in the light bulb.
I don't know how you do that.
If you give more money to the teachers, are we going to get
this person, and this person? Why are you giving money to the person screwing in the light bulb?
They should be making more money. They're doing it.
What about these people that already had given their money? Are we going to just sort of wait until it's convenient? I mean, I'm just saying, how does the world work where we're out of balance on everything, but we give away the money we just
We've been
saved?
giving away. No, we're actually going to pay down our debt, which as long as we can grow the economy faster than our debt, life is good. Yeah. We haven't been there since Reagan.
Well, I was going to say, but...
Yeah, actually Clinton actually...
I remember that.
Yeah, that was really good. Clinton, that was one amazing thing he did, and I was pretty pleased with that. Him and Newt Gingrich, they freaking hashed it out. I mean, it was...
What is amazing right now is how in debt we are. When we think, we're going to cut all these salaries, maybe over time it will be accumulating, but right now it's
Jason, we're not cutting any salaries. I don't know where that information's coming from.
If you lose jobs,
well, Jason,
those salaries?
let's talk. Let me go back to my childhood on the Oregon coast when I was little and I was living there.
I'm trying to.
The government all of a sudden stepped in and said the spotted owl needs to be.
This dollar aren't worth the same.
Time out.
Okay.
Time out. The real world. The government stepped in and said we need to protect the spotted owl in the Northwest. 80% of the town that my friends lived in was unemployed because the government just went whoosh and created something without any science. Okay, people lose their jobs. They tell them to re-educate and do something new. This is just part of reality in the private sector. You know, you don't perform. If you were working real estate, which I know you were an amazing realtor at one time, when you worked hard and did well, you made serious money. And when you sat there and didn't do anything, it was like, you're not really making any money. So if you're not producing a product, if you're not, the government doesn't make anything. The government doesn't make anything. It doesn't generate money. It just takes it. We need to make sure that our firefighters get paid well. We need to make sure our law enforcement, our teachers, our military, and we've got, since the Department of Education was set in about 45 years ago, education has gone down every single year.
Again, all that stuff is really true, and I wonder, with all the exposure to all this social media, what is going on? Why aren't we being able to use these technologies and employ them to make I don't know what to say, make people better, to give them more choices?
Well, you empower them. If you have a teacher in Hawaii right now and you double their salary, they are going to be motivated. They're going to be, and if you don't have as many administrators looking over their shoulder, having them in meetings to talk about things that doesn't relate to their classroom, and they're spending 60% more time in their last 8 years going to meetings.
It would be interesting as this is happening to see what the teachers say. It'd be interesting.
Well, it's not. They're because the administrators are going to barrage them because they're trying to keep their jobs. The real people in education are teachers. Everyone else is pretty much not important besides the principal, vice principal, somebody to make sure the campus is secure.
And maybe the assistants in the classroom.
Yeah, assistants in the class, all of that.
Yeah.
Besides that, why is half of our budget going to administrators?
I understand. I have no problem with thinning the ranks.
Yeah.
What I don't like, and maybe it's the news saying it, but it feels like that it's happening too quickly, and we're not preparing people to go into the private sector in a way they'll survive.
Just like the people in their public sector is living like the private sector right now. Your job can go away tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bottom line. So that's just life, Jason.
Well,
we need to make a really clear adjustment of the needs of the federal government.
Can we do it with gentility?
I think they are. If I were getting laid off right now and I was 55 and somebody said you're going to get paid 2 years severance plus a bonus, I would be friggin' out of there and spend 2 years figuring out what else I could do.
What if you were impassioned by the work that you're doing, and
then you're probably
55 is not that old to me anymore.
No, it's not.
Now that I'm
but if you were impassioned to do your work, then you're probably close to screwing in the light bulb. You're probably close to helping somebody on a direct basis that the government needs to do. You're probably that person. You're probably the person that makes sure that that person has all the needs they have. You're making sure the firefighters have the right equipment. You're making sure the teachers have the budget that they can take care of that. If you're 2 steps removed from screwing in the light bulb, you might need to really take a close look at where your future is.
I hear you. And when I think about that, it's almost inconceivable that whole hierarchy, we're at that point, can be replaced.
We've been at that
with buttons.
Obama just
put the data in, let AI rewrite it 17 times till we get exactly the message we want.
I love AI. Oh my God, I love AI. But seriously, we've come to that point where we need to empower our teachers. We need to make law enforcement and our military people who are working make a serious living wage, so that you don't get into teaching because that was just the thing you checked on a box. No, you get into teaching because you love to teach. I know I teach around about that. And people that get into law enforcement, that's a passion. Those people don't get into that for the money. They get into it because they want to serve their communities.
Yeah, I believe
those are the people screwing in the light bulbs.
I got it.
And if you take that simple picture and put it through the entire government system,
there's no doubt that things need to be cut back. I mean, I agree with you
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
But
But you're being
agree
spun.
with that you haven't retrained people. You haven't given them. See, for some reason,
Almost all these people you
piece-
want to retrain either have a degree or a master's degree. They
Well,
are
again,
more than capable. We're not talking
Where are we going to
about.
put them out there in a world
We
that
don't
doesn't
put
have
them in.
enough revenue?
There
That's a
is so
tough
much
job.
revenue out there.
I
But if
don't
you
really see it.
unburden the private sector to do work, to create a job, to get a business going, there is millions of business opportunities.
What about the businesses here that say we have to close a few days because we can't find enough people
that's
to work at a
absolutely true.
low enough wage?
Almost
that
all
we
the
can still-
apartments around me, you can't. They're empty. You need a $10,000 a month income to be in the low rent area that I'm in.
So what do we? Once again,
Well, it's not
I'm
what we
boiling
do.
back-
We need to raise everybody up
How?
by cutting the fat.
Well,
If there are people feeding at the
What
trough,
does that fat have to do with you?
my Social Security check every month is not a great number.
No.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. But if all of a sudden I'm realizing that my number would be larger if people who weren't creating invisible people and getting paid for that.
What if our food was less expensive? Well, now that we're going to stop preservatives, it's going to be a really interesting process.
That's going to be adjustment. But you got to raise everybody needs to come up, and we will. What happened is about 2 generations ago, the government grew at such a rate. Okay, let's talk about money. Let's just talk about the government doesn't make anything. We can agree on that. They don't really make anything. Okay,
Right.
but when they send $1 billion somewhere, okay, $1 billion to you and me is if we spent $36,000 an hour for our entire lives. That's $1 billion. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you send dollars out of the country, a lot of them, those are still dollars. We're still cutting the pie skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. So you're getting a smaller and smaller piece as far as what your dollars buy. So if your dollars now, I went to the store yesterday. I was like, came home with nothing. I mean, Polish sausages, they used to be a couple bucks. Now they're like $12. I'm like, and that's Costco, for cripe's sake. So the more dollars that are out there, if they're not in our system generating more product or more services, then those dollars make our dollars buy less. So every dollar that we send out of the country that doesn't generate dollars in the private sector makes our money less valuable. So these are weird numbers. Oh, we sent whatever $1 trillion to another country. And you're like, well, that doesn't really matter to me. Yes, it does. Because those dollars are out there. So that means your dollars don't buy as much because they're not going into
Don't we find
here.
they're not dollars? They're product that were created in America or shipped an all-American good, so it's really helping America?
Yeah. And that's just it. I mean, we
I don't know what you just said there.
yeah, this is like tariffs. We pay more we pay more tariffs. The farm goods that come in from Canada, 200% tariff.
That's craziness.
I know, that's crazy. It just needs to be balanced. That's all we're asking for. NAFTA, under President George Bush, was supposed to be the big answer to that. I was kind of concerned with NAFTA at the time. I really looked at it, and I liked the older George Bush better then than I do now. But so yeah, people can change. I can change. But NAFTA was supposed to be this agreement to balance the tariff system. Mexico kept breaking it, Canada kept breaking it, and it just completely fell apart. And that lasted about 25 years. In the last 10 years,
we all got Americans said, "Hey, I can go over to Thailand and get them to make all these widgets for a penny."
That was the fault of the NAFTA. That was the fault of the North American Trade Agreement. That screwed the American worker. That meant more dollars left our shores and made our buying power smaller.
I had a guest last week that pottery was huge in East Liverpool, Ohio, and now it's a ghost town.
Yeah, absolutely. Vietnam Vietnam.
I understand.
Vietnam makes some incredible products. I love the country. I really want to visit there. I've read so much about it. And they make these products, and the more and more they make these products, their actual cost, their lifestyle has actually risen tremendously over the last 25 years due to imports. But we're screwing ourselves. We're not. We need to be the ones screwing in the light bulb. We need to be the ones making the light bulbs. If not, we need to innovate our technologies. I mean, we're building, Apple's building the biggest plant they've ever built that's coming into the United States to build chips. That is huge. I mean, when Baldwin was here, when Pioneer was here, those jobs, you could go to work doing those jobs and buy a home, raise a family on a single income.
Yeah.
There is no. My kids, they are struggling. They are struggling heavily because they need two incomes. I live with my partner, and I think it would be much more difficult to live on my income without him. I mean, I love him dearly, but
I understand.
We keep giving our dollars away, and nobody realizes. I don't believe people realize that every time a dollar leaves our shore, all our dollars buy less. And everybody thinks, well, I'm getting a cheaper television. I'm getting a cheaper this. I'm getting a cheaper that. You're really not.
No, but again, you and I are thoughtful enough, I'm giving us credit, to say we understand that. Mm-hmm. But is there a way to do it more gently than the way it's being done? You say no, they're doing it with as much aloha or not as they can. Don't you think it's a little bit
let's go back.
Ugly to have a guy who's a billionaire talking like it doesn't matter in the details when so many people are struggling, and he could change the world with a little bit of his money?
He doesn't have cash in the bank. He has businesses. That's the realization that most people don't realize, that wealthy people don't have cash in the bank. They borrow from the banks. That is all in play.
Now I'm being in play.
Yeah.
If I was one of these guys, if I was Jeff Bezos, I live here. I got a house at the end of the road. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just one of the guys in the neighborhood. No, he's not.
I saw him at Safeway.
250.
He's one of the guys. I saw him at Safeway.
One of the guys with a nice wife. Guy, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that someone with money doesn't say, look, I'm not going to put this money and throw it away. I'm going to become an equity partner with everyone, and I'm going to create this, and we can do these things that we need.
Yeah.
We could solve all the housing problems. He could get richer in the same problem. Why aren't those things happening? Why?
We're creating a slave nation when we keep dumbing down our education. And I'm not saying that low-income housing isn't a bad thing, but it failed in New York, it failed in Chicago, it failed in Detroit. We created ghettos. We're following the same model as they did in Detroit, Chicago, and New York. We're creating ghettos.
You're thinking because we've having so many low-income housing being built at the same time in the same area that it's going to create
a ghetto?
We already have that here. It's been there every time someone in Wailea says, I want to be living here. I think there needs to be a wall between me and everyone else.
Yeah.
Because they're going to come over and try to want to take my stuff.
No, I think they're going to want to come over and do your lawn and clean your pool.
For an exceptional rate. Yeah.
It's changing. Things are changing. I think it's a real positive thing we're going through. I try to look at everything through a positive light, and when I just get back to the model of screwing in the light bulb, and let's go back, besides screwing in a light bulb and who's actually doing the business of the government, go back to that pharmaceutical commercial where you have this, and we were just talking. You were just talking about how you're having an emotional response to what you see on the media. So, at the end of that, and you heard, and you could lose your knee, or you're going to have arthritis, or you're not going to be able to poop for a month, then you might go, wait a minute, I need to look at that better. But you get this emotional response, and that's how sales works. When you're doing commercials, when you're doing advertising, you create an emotional thing. The pharmaceutical industry is the biggest by tenfold. The people that put money in that, they know how to do it brilliantly. They know how to target the people in Hawaii. They know how to target the people in New York, and they're all different. When I flip on my VPN and I watch a hockey game somewhere else in the country, I get a whole different set of commercials because the market's different. And once you start dialing in and realizing that emotional response you see to grandpa running and playing with the dog and the grandkids, and you don't focus on that last little piece, they know how to do it. The people who are trying to save their jobs, that are bureaucrats that probably aren't screwing in the light bulb and don't even know who's screwing in the light bulb, those are the people that are trying to push their narrative. So when you get an emotional response to something you read, and I keep getting blocked for just that one post. I posted it in 3 different places, and they went, I'm like, I'm not saying it one way or the other. I'm just saying, if you have an emotional response to what you see, and that means as much as a pharmaceutical commercial to a Oscar Mayer commercial, they make you feel good. They make you want to do things good. When you have an emotional response negatively, it also triggers that fear. And fear has been the key, even with the pharmaceutical industry, with the food industry. If you fear that if I don't take this drug, I might get Alzheimer's, I might get this, or I might get that, that fear can create sales. It can go both ways. They can make you feel good like you're going to be running through the grass playing with the kids and the grandkids, or you better get on this so you don't have this. Oh, my goodness, you are at risk. If these are the risk factors, if any of these things sound like you need to call your doctor right away. And you've heard that. You'll hear that. If you dial in, you'll hear that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Be aware. Just be aware. If you have an emotional response to something you watch or read, it was designed that way. Speaking of AI, when I use my AI, I can ask it to write this way. I want to have an emotional response to the words. And you just put that in. Please, make this an emotional response. Please, make this a factual thing. And it will rewrite using those perimeters. It's brilliant. It's so cool.
I don't have any issues with that. I have the issues of what's left. Yeah. Meaning, again, having administrators in education doesn't make the education any better or worse, right?
It makes it worse. Because it takes teachers away from the classroom.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about in the classroom, having administrators or not, in the classroom, these people that are having tools like an AI that aren't using their own brain to think of how to make things go that way or this way.
Let's go back to our generation. Remember when we had those little calculators with the red line, and you type in and it was a calculator, and everybody thought that was going to be the end of the world. Nobody would be able to do math. Well, it's the same scenario, really.
I wish I believed you. Because I really see it in the kind of decisions that are being made now by lots of younger people, in the kind of work they're doing, in the kind of expectations they have that are they're not realistic. Well, you're talking about things about, I'm not arguing, I'm really just expressing that I feel that our society we're dumbing down because we don't have to be smarter. We are making tools that are so great, they're turning our operators into simple.
You answered your own question, Jason.
Yeah.
It's a tool. The people who are fine craftsmen have tools. They make beautiful sofas, or they make a beautiful...
You say that like you think that everyone individually has the wisdom to create a good decision. I don't think so.
No. And what my bottom line to this is, Jason, I believe that this Generation X and these millennials have lost the dream that we had. Yeah. They've lost the dream. They look and they go, houses here are $1.2 million, and they're going like, I have a college degree, I'm working here, I'm working for an insurance company, I'm making $125 a year, and that's not even enough. You need 2 incomes to live the lifestyle that we lived in the 70s and 80s on $45,000, and that was big money back then.
I just want to be sure I'm not. It says 11:50.
Yeah.
That means we got what, 3 or 4 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me put in a pitch. I
Please.
get a pitch. The other day, my watch told me I was having a coronary event. I ignored it. I ignored it twice. I ignored it 3 times. And then Andrew said, we need to go to the hospital. I was having a coronary event. Technology can be our friend. Even though I wanted to ignore it. Yeah, my chest hurts. Yeah, my watch says things aren't shooting right.
I don't have any problem with those things.
So
my big concern is that I don't see that we can turn the game over to others that somehow
that's all we've ever done. That's all we've ever done.
I know, but I think that right now, with all that's going on with technology, we're losing individuals. We're losing that sharp edge. I know that probably every parent says it about their kids or the grandparents. Yeah. Oh, those guys. That music.
I was the first guy in my dorm, the first person in my dorm back in the 80s to have a computer in my dorm room. It was phenomenal. Jason, it took my grade point average through the roof. You put in a disk and it checks your spelling. I'm dyslexic, man. That was like the biggest thing that ever happened because I look at the word and that looks fine to me.
No, well, again, does that make you better? No.
Yeah, it allows me to play on the same field. The most amazing thing right now in the world, we have an autistic.
Play on the same field. Oh, I got the tingles inside because I wish we had a longer show.
Yeah.
Do you know we only have 30 seconds? You can tell me. What do we got? Not much left.
I show 11:52.
How much time we have left?
8 minutes.
No, they cut us off at like 56.
Okay, so we got 4 minutes. Okay, let me just this one thing. We have an autistic man, a billionaire, autistic. He's autistic.
Who?
Elon Musk.
Okay.
This is the time to, even if you have a disability like autism, which we've always seen that with Mr. Musk, it's like that gives people with autism thinking, okay, if I focus on this, I can do something amazing. This is an incredible time for all generations that grew up with ADHD, dyslexia, any of these learning disabilities, that you are able to actually focus and do something amazing. This is the moment in time for autistic people to go.
We have only a very little time. Sum it up in your best job that you can do. Give it a summary.
I love my best. I'm doing my best job. I teach some swimming lessons now and then, and I try to stay healthy. Yeah.
Are you happy?
I love it. Yeah.
I'm happy too. Are you happy?
You guys all happy?
Be happy.
Be happy.
Scott, I love having you here.
Don't worry.
I hope you'll come back again.
Don't worry, Jason. Be happy.
Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to get off here, but you can keep talking.
Yeah.
We won't stop you. And keep caring about each other, would you?
Yeah.
Please.
And make sure if you have an emotional response to something, look closely at that disclaimer at the end.
Yep.
Or find it.
Wow. Can you imagine we go through another hour? It's been great having you here, Scott.
It has been.
Blessings to you, my friend.